Hello and welcome to my little corner of the internet. If we haven't connected before, my name is Bree. I'm an intuitive channel, and today I'm coming on just to sort of tap into the collective energy of the new moon that we have coming up. So the new moon is on Saturday. It's a new moon in Taurus. The sun is currently also in Taurus. So we have all of this beautiful, grounded earth energy happening. And this particular new moon is really interesting. There's been a lot of sort of chatter online with we'll call them the pop astrologers. It's like the start of a new 19-year cycle. And there's all this pressure to like manifest and not waste it. And um, it's really, take what resonates, leave the rest is always sort of my motto. And it's been interesting with this particular cycle. I personally haven't really been feeling that like dig in and manifest the life of your dreams sort of energy. New moons typically are about manifestation, um, but there's like a really grounded practicality to it. There are some aspects with Uranus, which is like the planet of like sudden change and like revelation. So there is some like unexpectedness here as well. Um, Really, though, I feel the energy collectively, what's kind of coming through is an opportunity for you to like redefine what does stability look like for you. Um, and where in your life is what you thought was stability actually just holding you back from expansion? That's sort of more the energy that I'm feeling here. Um, and with this new moon cycle, allowing yourself to just be open to like unexpected things. Um, as things are coming into your world or coming into your awareness, before it makes sense or before, you're fully like, kind of like embodying what it is, it's just sort of be like, okay, sure, I'll entertain this. Like, what is this new thing that's coming? Um, and just sort of like stay really curious about that. I've had a lot of that coming up in my own life right now. I've just like things coming into my awareness that like I fully don't understand or um, that are just very unexpected, and I'm not really sure where it's leading, but I'm here for the ride. I'm like, okay, sure, let's see where this goes. Um, so that's sort of very much the energy that we have right now. And it's not to say you can't manifest your dream life with, with this new moon. New moons are always like just a gorgeous opportunity. A lot of like fertility energy here as well. It's playing nicely with an aspect to Jupiter in Cancer. Cancer is all about like the home and ancestry, family. So there is that like Cancer and Taurus really enjoy each other. It's a very like harmonious energy. Taurus loves stability. Cancer appreciates stability. So there is a lot of just like really beautiful energy available here. Um, it just, yeah, it very much does feel like less pressure though with like having to manifest something and more just really staying curious about what is coming into your world right now. Um, Something else that's been sort of in my awareness is clarity. A lot of people I've been talking to are very much seeking clarity. We have a lot of this energy of like confusion or, sort of being in those like liminal spaces, I like to call them, where we're not really sure where we're going next. I've talked about this for the last couple of moon cycles, where we very much have this energy of like, I'm done with my old life. The new one's coming, but right now I'm just sort of hanging out here. And that can be a really uncomfortable place to be. And so, with this particular new moon coming, it does feel like there is going to be clarity coming through. If you're open to it, and it's again about like staying curious to anything that's been coming into your world, and just, allowing that clarity to come through. And also, you know, examining what your relationship with clarity looks like, right? Like, what does clarity look like for you? Because it often doesn't arrive in like a thunderbolt with, like, hey, here's your little handbook on exactly what you should be doing. Like, that would be great. That's not usually how it works. Instead, it's like, it's those nudges, those whispers, those like little pulls that you're like, that feels like, okay, that's something. I'll do that. And listening to those little nudges. And that is where, oh, sorry, I'm just like playing with my Oracle deck and just one of the cards flipped up as I was talking. That's funny. Yeah, it's like following those nudges, following those little pulls. And from there, like as you start to walk the path, the clarity comes. Like what I'm seeing in my mind's eye as I'm talking is like this, like the path forks and you're like, I have no idea where this is going. But like, okay, you start walking the path and then you see a roadside and you're like, oh, I know where this one's going. Now that makes sense. That's the energy that we're getting right now. Um, just based on like the last moon cycle, especially this one is very grounded. Again, like we've got the sun and the moon both in Taurus, which Taurus rules the second house, so it's about it's very like foundational stability. So like material things, right? Like money, material possessions. The finer things in life, like Taurus energy is like very luxurious. It is ruled by Venus after all. So we like Taurus appreciates beauty and it's Taurus for me is always like, if you're familiar with Greek mythology, I see Dionysus. He's like the god of like wine and just like enjoying everything that life has to offer. And that's something else that's kind of been coming up in my world lately, where it's like, hey, like life's too short, just enjoy it. Let's book that trip. Let's go out for that nice dinner. Like, let's do those things, even though like financially we're feeling constricted. Honestly, like the economy, but life's too short, right? Like, let's enjoy that. And that frequency that you have when you are allowing yourself to receive these things is how we attract abundance, right? When you go out for that nice dinner and you're like, oh, I really like this, or you plan that trip and you feel that like higher vibration, that is the frequency that we want to be in. So that's kind of like your overall message that's coming through just generally with this energy. Also we have Ivy, the kitty. She's here for emotional support. I am going to pull some cards from the Crossroads Oracle deck, which is my deck, and we will see what wants to come through. It has been very spot on for me this week for sure. So let's see. I'm going to shuffle. I'm like super shuffling. Sometimes it's so funny. They like come out in order and I'm like, I swear I shuffled. Well, let's see. Like super shuffled. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Jumpers already. Okay. I don't think we've gotten this one recently. So this one's the bridge. And I don't know if it's like, eventually I'll figure out the lighting situation, I promise. But okay, let's put it here so I can look at it. So the bridge for me is like, it's like the crossing of two worlds, right? Like in the card itself, if you look at it, there's like, it's like light and dark, right? So I sort of see it as like it's literally like crossing two realms. Like this card is from the oh my gosh, my words. It's from the realms suit. And so the realms are more like they're ruled by water. And it's a very like, it's a very it's a card of connection is how I feel. And like integration, like you're taking like shadow and light and like crossing, it's like crossing worlds really is how it makes me feel. And it is a card that is like later in the deck as well. So after you, oh, actually, I am so sorry. I was wrong. This card is not from the realms. This one is from the keys. That's so funny. I wanted to call it the realms. But this one is from the keys and it is later in the keys. So it's interesting. I wanted to call it realms, which definitely makes me feel like the connecting of worlds. But this one is from the keys. And so when I feel into the energy of this card, it's very much like, it's crossing from your old life to your new one. And it is interesting because we did have a lot of that energy coming through before. And, actually this energy has been coming through quite a bit in the last little while. And so I do find that, because we're in this like very like threshold energy, the bridge is also very much about like choice, right? Like you're choosing to like walk on that path and cross that bridge and go to, some like the unknown. Um, and it's very much like I see it as like two halves, like two worlds, right? And it's like that fragmentation of like two separate places, and then the bridge connects them. Okay, it's an energy of like healing, um, of like coming together. So like union is on there, um, but it is also about like there's an energy there of like communication, of like connecting those two worlds together, allowing them to like um yeah, I'm just hearing like bridge the gap in like in like regular speech of just like all of these different areas of your life, or like different areas of like you and who you are. It's like allowing them to like come in together, right? um you know Sometimes there can be like in the shadow with this card, it's like forcing connection, um but the energy here is very much like there's an energy of like reunition. So you're like reuniting things. And it's interesting that I was really drawn to talk about the realms, which is not what this card is from. Um, but the realms are like your inner state. And so this card for me, because I wanted to talk about the realms, is really much making me feel like it's like your inner being, right? And so it's like what do you need to reconcile between yourself? What do you need to connect? What do you need to integrate still? What truth exists for you? It's like I was saying at the beginning with like, where in your life are you mistaking stability for stagnation? Right? Like, where is something in your life where you feel like, ah, yes, like this is safe and good, and like we're super stable here, but it's actually stagnation is actually holding you back. And can you allow yourself to like build that bridge to the next place that you're meant to go? Right? It's not about like leaving the past behind and like never going back to it's just about like, can you allow it to help you build something so that you can move forward into like your next chapter? Okay, that's the energy that's coming through here. And again, because I was like talking about the realms, this does feel very like inner world-y. So like your inner psyche, dealing with like your emotions and like your inner state. So that's the first card. Let's see what else comes through here. Go. Mm. Keeper of Shadows. Okay. So that is also, let's just put it here. That is also very much connected to this like inner state kind of energy. This is from the guide suit. Um, and so the guides are like archetypes, right? Um, and so when I look into this card, like the Keeper of Shadows, it's so interesting because they both have the same word, integration, right? Um, it's also an energy of like truth, and like reclaiming things. And so it's very much the Keeper of Shadows. Shadows in general, like when we think of the shadow, it I always think of like the back of the closet. So when you like open the closet and like what the light doesn't touch, you're like, I don't see it. Like, I don't see that mess there. It's fine. And that's very much the energy of shadow, where you're like, yep, it's fine. We don't need to look at that. Um, but this particular card comes forward with like an opportunity for you to, it's like an invitation. So, like, hey, it's a threshold card of like the unseen, right? Like, what have you exiled from your awareness? Like, what have you not wanted to look at? And in shadow work, we work a lot with like wounds, and triggers are very much like opportunities for healing, right? It's like a doorway or like a portal to be able to you know like reclaim that and reclaim the power that exists in the shadow. um and so it's about like dissolving shame, and allowing yourself to see the shadow with compassion, and recognizing like where it comes from, but also finding your strength in it, right? Um, and it is really interesting, like both these cards are coming up together because it really does feel like the keeper of the shadows is like that threshold of dark and light, right? Like light and shadow. Like she is sort of standing at the edge of like your closet as you open it, and that doorway and that light that's there, she's there like, hey, are you ready to come into the shadow and take a look at what's here? What magic is here for you? What power is here for you? Um, because like what you claim, it's like taking back your power, right? Like all of those like shadows and things that you don't want to look at, like that's where your power is, in learning to accept those parts of you, and um to like it's like harness that energy and like use it to strengthen you, to like strengthen your resolve to like move forward, right? Like that's where the magic is. And so it's so interesting that both of these cards are kind of coming through with very similar messaging right now, of like the bridge was very much like bridging that gap, and then the keeper of shadows is, that invitation to like come into the shadow. What is here? What are you trying to like ignore right now? um and it's interesting, this is a four card. I'm really drawn to say that as well. Fours are foundational energy. um and like this really, and like Taurus is all about like foundation stability, and this feels important because if you're moving forward into this energy of like you're manifesting with Taurus energy, and you're building the life of your dreams, um you want to make sure you've got a good foundation, and you have to make sure the land you're building your foundation on is solid, right? And so, I mean, if you've ever built a house, like you do a land survey, right? Like they like take a look at like what you're building on to make sure that like it's all good before you start building your house. And so this analogy is really what this card feels like. um of like, hey, like what are you building on? What are you not looking at? What are you wanting to avoid? Right. So like do a little survey of your shadow world, and like what's there, what you're trying to ignore, so that you can like move through it, um, accept it, know it's there, right? I'm getting like very practical analogies in my head of like, I don't know, there's a like an aquifer on your land. So you just rewrote it instead of building your house on it, and then it slowly erodes, the like bedrock you're building on. Those sorts of ideas, right? But this is where, when we don't do this, like when we avoid those like difficult truths or wounds or parts of you you're ashamed about, and then we try to like move forward and like build something new, is those wounds are going to keep getting triggered, right? Like we keep brushing up against those parts of ourselves we haven't accepted, and it's going to pull you off of the path that you're trying to be on. So this is why it's important. Okay. Last one here. Let's see. Oh my goodness, cards are falling out everywhere. What do we got here? This is so funny. Okay, I knew this card was going to come out. This card, let's see. This card is the card that when I was shuffling and talking at the beginning, this is the card that flipped up. So she wanted to come out today. So there we go. This is the mirror. Okay. And this is the keys, not a realm. So we got two key cards here. Let's put this here so I can see them all together. Okay. So I really like this card here. So the mirror is like, as the name would suggest, like it's reflection, it's honesty, right? It's an energy of like recognition. Like, what do you see when you look in the mirror, right? What's there for you? What do you feel? Do you feel anything, right? Do you feel like a literal mirror and a figurative mirror, right? Do you have a hard time looking at yourself in the mirror? Like all those sorts of questions. The mirror is really about like, truth. It's mirrors are very like, there's a lot of portal energy with mirrors, but it's also about taking stock of like who you are in this moment right now, you know, even if we talk about a mirror just figuratively, who are you right this second, right now? Take a look in the mirror, right? But there's also compassion there. There's a compassion and a gentleness of like, look at who you are and, you know, can you hold the duality of like both your amazing brilliance and also like any shadow and heartache at the same time? Look how far you've come. Look at all the things you've been through. Look at all the things you've accomplished. That duality, can you hold both together? And can you have that self recognition? There's an initiation energy there. You know, when you can see yourself clearly, you're again like reclaiming your power. Okay. And it's again like that acceptance of anything that you've been avoiding looking at is that's transformation energy where you can take that and then transform it um, into something that then serves you on the path that you're walking moving forward. In the shadow, this card is very much about like avoidance, right? Or projecting onto others. Like if you can't see yourself clearly and you're, you know, the mirror might become like foggy or you might be expecting like someone else's reflection or something like that, right? So can you look in the mirror and like be okay with what's being reflected back to you? And that truth, can you, you know, can you approach it with like gentleness and like understanding? And even like despite any perceived imperfections, like literally and figuratively, it's like, can you still show up with love? Right. And it's so interesting that these three cards are coming out together here, just like looking at all three of them. And I will put them in the Substack here. This is like not at all how I thought this reading was going to go, which is so funny. This is usually how it happens. I was expecting a very different energy today. But the message overall is very much like before you move forward and before you are building anything, it's you need to take a solid look at where you are right now and like reflect back to yourself everything that you have. I've had this message come forward similarly with like the map card. I think that one was a couple weeks ago. It's a similar energy, but it's deeper now. This is a lot deeper. And this is, you know, actually beautifully timed after the full moon in Scorpio we just had. I don't know if that rocked anyone else's world, but that was a good time over here. Those cards ended up being incredibly powerful for myself as well. I unexpectedly had to put my cat down the day after I did that reading. So the energy of like, I believe it was like the cave and the underworld has kind of been my reality for the last 2 weeks. And, you know, kind of coming out of the underworld now. And you know, starting to like open up to this like new energy of this new moon in my own world. This is really perfectly timed, these cards of like, hey, what shadows did you find while you were down there in the underworld? And, you know, as I've personally been moving through a lot of grief in my life, so the passing of my old cat, it's, you know, can I then like, can I exist in that duality? Duality is something I've been working with a lot. Like, can you hold that? Can you hold both like the grief of loss and the excitement for new things, or, you know, the curiosity for where you're going next, or what comes, you know, what comes after this? And, you know, as you sit in grief or as you sit in those lower vibrational emotions, which are like so part of our human existence, what is there for you? What power can you draw from that? Right. Like that is very much like the Keeper of Shadows card for me is it's a powerful card. And it's about like not having that fear towards the shadow, that the shadow is just part of us, just like the light. You know, and there's strength in being able to face your shadow and to be, you know, even the word shadow, like it has like a like negative connotation to it. And it's really just a part of us. You know, and can you sit with that other part of you, right? And have love for both the light and the shadow of you, because they are both perfect just as they are, and they are both here to be a part of your journey just as they are. And then can you sit in that mirror and have both of them reflected to you? And instead of just looking at like the perfect parts of you, the light, the like what we show everyone, can you also see those like flawed, imperfect parts of yourself as well and sit with that and love them too? Right. And then that bridge card is really beautiful because it's like, can we bridge both? Right. Can we bridge, maybe a time in your life where you're living more in your shadow self and moving more towards accepting those, lighter parts of yourself, and building that as your future. So that's the messaging that is coming through for this new moon. It's a really powerful energy. Again, it's a lot of like foundational energy. I'm so curious to see what the full moon reading is going to be on. It's like at the end of May. It's almost like two bookends. We've got the full moon on the 1st and a full moon on, I think it's the 31st. Let me check my calendar. Yeah, the 31st. So it's literally like the first day and the last day. So I'm really curious to see what that energy is that comes through. Um, if you would like to work with this energy deeper for this new moon, I am holding a new moon activation circle. You can sign up for the link. I'll pop it in the Substack here or on my Instagram. It's free. It's just like a nice like space for everyone to kind of come together and share if you feel comfortable with any of the energy that's coming forward for this new moon. And I'll pull some cards and just hold some space for everyone to get some messages. And yeah, that is happening on Saturday night at 7 o'clock Eastern. So if you feel called to join, the link will be in the places and spaces you can find it. But I hope you have a wonderful new moon and this week treats you well. And I will talk to you at the full moon in 2 weeks. Bye for now.